Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. Today, we will be talking about how to create a complete IoT application using TagoIO. If you don't know me, my name is Marcelo. I am TagoIO content editor, and with me today, we have Thiago, our CSM, right? So, guys, before we jump into the webinar, right, to the good stuff, I would like to remind you all that our chat is open. So please say hello, right? And we also have our Q&A open. So if you have any questions, you can ask them out there, right? So let's go to the agenda of today. First of all, we will take a look at the platform, a quick introduction. Then we will see the dashboard templates and how it can help you. After that, finally, the device integration, how to integrate your device to TagoIO, our resources and documentations, all that you can do in the platform and how we can help you. And finally, we will have our live practice and then our Q&A, right? So, hello to everyone that just joined us. Right, so without further ado, please, Thiago.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Marcelo, for the introduction. As Marcelo mentioned, my name is Thiago, and I'm a CSM here at TagoIO. Some of you may already know me. For those who don't, it's a pleasure to have you here. I'm very excited to be presenting this webinar today. So let's talk a little bit about Tago, right? Before we jump to the good stuff. So first of all, let's get an understanding of what Tago is and what is our goal and how can we help you to achieve your solution. So our mission, as we see, is to inspire and inspire individuals and organizations to access and create value from sensors. Now, what does that mean? Now, TagoIO is a platform in which you can sign up and you can build your own dashboard, add your devices, add different widgets, display your information to build reports, analytics. You can connect with external solutions like your preferred CRM or your Google Drive or your ERP in order to maximize the deliverables to your end customer. Not to mention that you're able to brand it and you're able to white label it and even deploy on your custom on App Store and Google Play. Today we're present in almost over 120 countries, 10,000 accounts created, and over 500 devices in our device library. But just a reminder, if you do have a device that is not on our library yet, you can either submit a request for us to help you with that, or you do have the ability and resources to add your decoder and start using that device right away. The idea is that you can connect any device in any network in order to build your application. The process is simple. You connect your sensor and integrate your services. Today we have different networks available that you could use, and I'm going to show a little bit about them. You can build your dashboards, reports, define access rules, which is pretty cool. Picture if your customer have different layers within the application. And when I say layers, I say you have organization layer, you have location, you have different locations, you may have subgroups under the location which can be assigned, and it can bring a lot of value to the application as you can have different levels of permissions that for users that need to access exactly what they need to see and not anything else. Also, to brand your application by customizing, adding your company colors, your logo, signing up for a custom domain, white labeling it. It's a multi-dictionary application, so you can definitely take advantage of that. And you can add your terms and conditions as well, for instance. Basically, there are much more other features that you could add. For example, so for security purposes, you're able to add 2FA, you're able to integrate with your SSO via SAML. So let's dive into that. And also, a couple tools to help you deploy and monitor your application. So we're going to go through that as well. First step is today what I plan to do is to use some of the templates that we already have on our website in order to customize it, add a device, populate it with data, and then I'm gonna build this dashboard within an application that already have themes and colors, and I'm gonna show you how we can do that process is very quick, adding a new device, a new dashboard into the application with no hustle. So, with no further ado, let's go through some of the items that we're going to discuss here on this live practice. So we have number one, connect IoT devices, create your dashboard, populate dashboards and visualize the data, create a script to enhance the application, and finally, customize and deploy. So now I'm going to share my screen with some of the resources that I used to build this so you know where to go. And then we're going to move to the live practice. Awesome. So, first thing that I love to mention is that we have a completely new remodeled learning center. And this is very beneficial for everyone that's starting up with TagoIO. Picture that you can learn about devices, buckets, dashboards, files, all the way to administrative tools. You can do it on your own pace. There is a quiz on the end. It can definitely be helpful there. Another tool that I used for the application that I already have on the right side is the Kickstarter. So if you go to our website and then products and then Kickstarter, you can take advantage of some of the modules or all the modules. If you have a TagWayo account, starter or scale, you can import the entire application to your account. And this can save you a lot of development time. As I'm going to show you, it's easy to customize, to add new features, and to make it look nice and have your own branding. And finally, I'm going to be using today one of the templates that we already have on our website. And for today's webinar, I have selected the temperature, humidity, and air quality dashboard. So let's get started. The first step will be to add a new device to my account. So for this webinar, I'm going to be adding an air quality sensor, a Dragino LAQ4. So let's give it a name. So Dragino air quality sensor. And then I'm going to select what the storage type do I want for this sensor. Since I don't need to modify the payload that's coming through and I can use the data as it comes, I could use an immutable bucket. But in the case if I needed to manage that data somehow, delete particular data points after they arrived, I would use the mutable bucket. So in this case, let's go with immutable. Remembering that is a webinar that we dedicated to learning more about buckets, immutable and immutable. So I strongly recommend you, if this is a question, to watch that webinar. I'm going to set a period here for 1 week. That will be enough for us. And I'm going to type here the device UI. Perfect. Now let's create that device. Finish. So now I do have my Dragino air quality sensor connected. Since I don't have a real device on me right now, I'm going to be using the emulator so I can simulate that data coming through the device. I'm going to grab my payload. I'm going to go to my Dragino air quality sensor, and I'm going to pass this over to the emulator. How do I make sure that my data is coming through and is coming through correct? So I'm going to turn on my live inspector, and now I'm going to push this data in. Good. So I have 6 data added. So my payload went through. I have temperature, pressure, air humidity, quality, temperature, battery, and CO2 concentration. If I were to modify how this information came through, for instance, let's say I don't want to receive air temperature. I want to receive only all the other else, everything else. So I would customize my payload parser and I would add here air temperature. Why am I saying this? Because sometimes you have a device that sends you 20 variables from the device, another 10 variables from the LNS. So sometimes we don't need all that. We want to keep the application lean and consistent only with the data that we're using. So if I add these variables on this array, I can save a lot of input and storage on my application. As this is not as the case now, I'm just going to keep it as standard and I'm going to take a look of how my data came through. So I can see here that my request was successful and I have all my variables and values and units all set up correctly. That being done, now that I have data, I'm going to install a new template, which is the temperature, humidity, and air quality sensor. So let's do start template, and I'm going to select the new device that I created, which is the Dragino air quality sensor. Let's confirm associations. Because I have already pushed the data, my dashboard is already populated. So that's good. The next step for me to do now is to merge this dashboard with my existing application. So everything looks nice and the same. So this is my application today. It has a pattern of yellow and gray. So let's see how I can customize this dashboard in a couple of minutes to look exactly the way I want. So I'm gonna open a new my existing metering dashboard here, and I'm gonna copy two values here that are important and for me to customize this dashboard and add into my application. So I'm gonna use the header color. I'm gonna go back to my dashboard here, and I'm gonna pass this color onto the header. And there we go. I have my yellow. And now I need my gray background color. So I'm gonna come here and select my gray background, and I'm gonna go over and pass this on to my background on the new dashboard. Boom. So now, since I already did that with one widget, the only thing that I need to do is come here and apply color settings to all widgets. You don't necessarily need to do the step that I did. If you want to, and if you already have an example, you can always copy color settings from a particular widget. Like I have here energy meeting, I would select the widget I want to copy the settings from, and I would apply this configuration. So now my dashboard is customized. So, what are the next steps for me to add this dashboard onto my application, onto my list, right? So, I do have here as a button as well, and as an option for my customer to access. So, first step is to generate and create my access rule here, as I have it created for admin. So, what does this rule says? That every run user with the tag access admin will be able to see any devices and any dashboards under this rule. So I'm gonna go to my toggle run, and I'm gonna come here under sidebar, in which I can add new buttons for new dashboards that I already have. So let's slide it up, and I'm gonna type a new dashboard called air quality. Now I'm gonna select something that represents the air, let's say leave. And then I'm gonna select my existing pattern, which is this orange, and I'm gonna open the dashboard that I've just created. So then that's going to be the temperature and humidity. Notice that the system asked me to grant the permissions for this particular dashboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the visibility condition here that this dashboard is to be accessed by the user that contains the tags access and admin. So for you to make sure of that, the way is going to your one users right there. You select a particular user, and then you go under tags. So here, this tag, the users that have this tag under their setup, under their configuration, will be able to access that particular dashboard. So let's open my toggle run and see how it looks like right now. There we go. So now I have my energy metering that was created before, and I have my air quality meeting, which was created right now. Notice that as my entire application is already set with the configuration that I use, there's not much else that I need to do here. My task is done. What how do I got that there though? So first step is I've added a nice background picture. I added my company logo. I was able to edit the color on my background, and added transparency too. So that makes it look a lot nicer. And under sidebar navigation, which is the next step to the right, notice that when you hover, you can see exactly what you're editing. So that helps a lot when you're customizing your dashboard. So I have added all my application patterns here, so it looks consistent throughout. And the same result will be reflected on my mobile app as well after this call. So let's spice it a little bit with some functionality so we can see how an analysis would improve my dashboards. In this case here, I've added a button on my energy metering dashboard, and I added two states. The first state is to set a value of state relay to off. In the second state is set the variable on. So why did I do this? I did this because I want to trigger an action. Actions can be triggered through a couple different resources. So let's do this. Here, energy, metering, device, offline alert. And then I'm going to select a type of trigger, which is variable. I'm going to select my state relay variable. In my action is going to be to run an analysis. Then through this analysis, which is called send notification, I'm gonna be sending a notification to my run user to let him know that that device is offline. So now that my action is created, I remember that I can create this in a couple different ways. I could create it for a single device, or I could create for multiple devices. So in this case, I'm gonna select the device Dragino air quality sensor. And then I'm going to select the variable that I was manipulating before. I'm sorry, the device that I'm using is actually metering for this particular case. So the variable that I'm using is state relay. So when state relay is equal to on, I'm going to run my analysis send notification. And we're going to take a look on how that analysis looks like. It's a very simple analysis, just so we can see how it triggers and it runs. Another good feature to keep in mind is the trigger unlock. And why is that? Sometimes the devices they may send uplinks every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every 50 minutes. And in this case, I haven't really the device isn't really offline. It's only the state relay that is I'm setting as on and off. But let's say that when your state relay is set as off, you receive one notification and then you immediately can take action. But if you receive a notification that is off every 5 minutes, that can be sort of annoying, either for you or for the customer. So when we do the same rule here for state relay, if the state relay is equal to on, it means that this notification is going to run once, and then it doesn't matter how often the device is going to be off each uplink after that. I'm only going to receive another notification once it's on. If you see beneficial to be receiving notifications every now and then that's okay. But if you want to receive the notification once, take action, and then take care of the device so it sends an on command, this would unlock this and make sure it runs again. So now that my actions are completed, let's go back to my analysis and see how that looks like. So then I have a simple analysis here in which this analysis is already available on the snippets. If you click on load the snippets, you will find an analysis called send notification. And here I'm gonna do two simple things. Three actually. I've added my dashboard ID because I wanted this notification to be displayed on my dashboard. And I've added my message, which is const title device offline. And the message is the meter under apartment 2B on East Tower is offline. So now that I have done all this, let's go back to my metering dashboard and see how that's going to look like in practice. So here, I can see that I received the push notification, device offline, the meter under apartment 2B on this tower is offline. So since I have already set the status as off, if I press it again, it's going to bring me that a notification. If I had the trigger unlock and the device was still off and pushing, then it will work as expected. So it looks like my device is working, my analysis is working, and my action is working. So let's take a look on how will that appear on my actual dashboard. So on my phone. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here, and hopefully you'll be able to see my camera. So now if I go back to my application and load it, you'll see that now also on my phone, I have my metering and my air quality dashboard here all ready and set to go. So the run user is able to use it right away, and it's already customized with the application. So This is all on my side. I hope this was helpful and inspiring for you to build your application. And Marcelo, I open the floor to you.
So, goodbye, guys. It was nice to have you all there. Here, have a nice week, a nice weekend, and we see each other on the next webinar.